I am Pedro Peloso. I'm a biologist and I work with biodiversity, focused mostly on discovery and descriptions and evolutionary biology of amphibians, mostly frogs from the Amazonia. I don't really know because when I started my biology course, I really wanted to work with lizards and snakes. But I think the more I got out to the field and I didn't see a lot of lizards and snakes, and I was seeing frogs and finding interesting amphibian species and tadpoles and things that were recently described or even unnamed. So think it just switched my focus and my attention to amphibians, and I sort of fell in love with them, I think. Wow, that's a that's a great question. So I am from Brazil. I am from a city in central Brazil, but I moved to the coast, and then I've searched for frogs pretty much everywhere I go. And even when I'm on vacation, I'm searching for amphibians and lizards and things like that. But biology has taken me to many places, and I've seen a large portion of Brazilian biomes, and those are the Atlantic rainforest. I've been to many places full of endemic species, full of species that are only there or endangered or rare. It's taken me to the Amazon. I've conducted several expeditions to the Amazon. I've been to the Andes in Peru. I've been to the French Guiana. I've been to, let's see, Southeast Asia. I've been to Vietnam in the field, and I've seen museums of natural history in Australia, in Europe. So I would say, well, I've traveled the world searching for frogs, either alive in the field or in museum collections. And that's a real gift and a privilege that biology and the biology of amphibians, especially, has given me. That's a really important question, and I don't think there's a straight answer to it. But the one thing that comes to my mind is that we, as a species, the humans, we tend to only care and protect what we know, and we need to give names to things. So let's say we have five species and four of them are unnamed. They're just like in a museum somewhere and nobody knows about it. And there's one that's already named and described and we know it's in danger. So people will tend to give more attention to that named described species, even though these unnamed taxa might still be even more endangered than the ones that are named. That's just how our brain works, and not only our brains. That's how policy works. That's how conservation institution works. That's how funding agencies work. So they tend to only fund research on species that are already named, for example. So that's why it's really important to go out there, collect, and study these animals and describe them. So when we biologists specialize in taxonomy, the naming of species, when we give it a name, it's now formally recognized by science. It can be a 4 or 5 star hotels, but that's really rare. We can stay in fairly good lodges once in a while, but most of the times we're either staying very cheap, not very great hotels, because that's what we have, and then usually what the budget allows, or the ones I like the most is either we camp in the forest or we live in boats, and that's the reality of many field expeditions to the Amazon, for example. So we're living in a large boat ship, and then we get smaller metal boats, speedboats to get to the field sites. So it may vary widely from just a couple days in a nice hotel to a month in a camping settlement with not a lot of resources for food diversity and medicine and stuff like that. So it really does vary, and I tend to enjoy both. They're very different, and all the whole spectrum from luxury in hotels to rough camping. I like the whole spectrum of diversity of field work. I just love being in the field and being able to see things in nature firsthand.